Welcome to the week 2 college football preview. I did not do one for week 1. Sad enough. Yeah, I was a little bit off, but first thing I'm gonna start off with is going through all the games and through all of everything, and then I'll get into some of my predictions and stuff. So here we go. Here's all the games there for you. I'm gonna tell you my games to watch if I can even make out some of this handwriting here. Can't really see it the best, but noon game. Definitely some stuff to watch, but I am now realizing that that is the wrong one. So sorry about that. Just have to roll with it. So I wish I could give you that, but I guess I'll have to jump right in because that was the complete wrong one. My bad. But I have stuff to do. I'm busy, so I have to roll with it. So we're gonna open up with Ohio State and Cincinnati. We're gonna take some of the biggest lines that there is, 10 of the biggest lines, and I'm gonna talk about some a little bit. Ohio State, Cincinnati, Ohio State. Let me check. I want to make sure that one's not on my pick, so I can pick that one. Good. So with that, Ohio State is favored by 16 points. I actually think that will probably be more. I think they'll win by at least 21 points. I think Ohio State is a good team this year. So I think Ohio State's still underrated heading into this week. Army, Michigan favored by 22 points. That could actually be pretty close, and that's actually coming up in two of my later segments. So I'm not gonna give you a prediction for that one, but for right now, I'm gonna tell you. I think Michigan's a tad overrated this week. Texas A&M, Clemson. Clemson favored by 16.5 points. You gotta look at that one, and I think that both of those teams are ranked. I think Clemson's good, but I think Texas A&M is just as good. 14 points. I think that's just a tad of a stretch, and that's also coming up in two of my later segments, so I will not pick that game either. Wisconsin versus Central Michigan. That one's not in my later ones. Wisconsin favored by 35 points. Wisconsin's a good team this year, but won't be that much. We saw what happened last week with Nebraska being up that high, but they didn't get it. Like the same thing will happen with Wisconsin. 21 points. Wisconsin wins. UCF and Florida Atlantic. UCF is favored by 10.5 points. And UCF blew out a team last week. UCF is terribly underrated this week. I will review this in the next show, but yeah, right now that's what I'm saying. They're underrated, so we'll see where that goes. But as we move on, our next one we gotta go with is Buffalo and Penn State. Penn State's favored by 31 points. I gotta say, I don't know. Man, that's gonna be a close one. Uh, Penn State's really good, but I think that one has to be under. So, we'll see what happens with that. But next one, I've been blazing through this, but then I just slowed down. Sorry about that. Just typing some stuff in so I can remind myself next week about this. Western Michigan and Michigan State. Michigan State favored by 15 points. I think Michigan State is underrated. Heading into that one. So we'll see where that falls next week, but this weekend. So Michigan State will win, and I forgot to mention Penn State will win it too, as well as UCF. Um, Northern Illinois and Utah. I find this a tad strange that Utah's favored by 22.5 points. Are they really that good this year? I haven't seen enough out of them. I'm gonna go overrated there. Auburn, Tulane. Auburn favored by 17 points. I think they're right in the right territory, just a tad underrated. But we'll see where this one goes. Now it's the last one on this over and under segment. Alabama and New Mexico State. You knew I had to bring this one up. Alabama favored by 55.5 points. That seems like UCF territory there. I don't know, but I think they're a tad overrated for this week. So I'm gonna go back through that very quickly. Ohio State versus Cincinnati. Ohio State, I think they're underrated this week at 16 points. Army versus Michigan, I think Michigan is overrated at 22 points. Texas A&M versus Clemson, I think Clemson's overrated, but with them being overrated by 16.5 points. Wisconsin versus Central Michigan, I think Wisconsin with 35 points, I think they're overrated. I messed that one up. So I had to retype that there. But UCF Florida Atlantic. UCF underrated here at 10.5 points. Buffalo and Penn State. Penn State overrated. I want to say yes at 31 points. They are overrated. I did touch on that one, but I kind of second guessed myself there. Western Michigan versus Michigan State. I think Michigan State's underrated at 15 points. Northern Illinois versus Utah. I think Utah's overrated at 22.5 points. Auburn versus Tulane. I think Auburn is underrated at 17 points. And I think Alabama was overrated against New Mexico at 55.5 points. So those are my predictions. You guys can comment down below what you guys think. I always find it interesting to see what you guys say. But let's move on to my super dogs. You see this on College Game Day. Has to be at least 6-point favorites. And going with that underdog there. These are my 3 top ones that you might be able to pick. Remember, Big Ten teams are spontaneous for being upset. BYU has upset Wisconsin, Nebraska. Appalachian State has upset Michigan, I believe it was. So, Michigan being favored by 22 points against Army. Army might get an upset. Watch that. That's my first super dog, but that's the most risky choice I have. Texas A&M versus Clemson. Clemson 16.5-point favorites, but Texas A&M is also rated. Don't forget, they're also pretty good. Is Clemson are they overrated this year? Who knows? But Texas A&M could pull something a hat out of their sleeve, and we'll see where that goes. Vanderbilt and Purdue. Purdue favored by 7 points. Vandy could be pulling up for an upset after Purdue lost to Nevada by a field goal last week. So Purdue wanting revenge. Maybe Vanderbilt can make Purdue a little bit more angry, perhaps. Then here we go. We got to our selections for Saturday. Michigan versus Army. As much as I would love to go with the underdog and Army, I have to go with Michigan to win that game. And yet that one's still a super dog of mine. So, yeah. Fresno State and Minnesota. Minnesota favored by 3 points over Fresno State Saturday night. This one could be very, very close. Last year it was close before Minnesota picked off the ball in the end zone last year on the final drive to seal the win by a touchdown. That was very close. But I have to go with my home state and Minnesota. So I think they'll start the year 2-0. Colorado versus Nebraska. Nebraska favored by 4 points. This did not end well for them last year. Nebraska did look sloppy against South Alabama. Colorado came out strong against Colorado State. This is going to be very, very close, but I have to go with Colorado. I know some people might not be happy with that. I think Nebraska is terribly overrated this year. Anyway, Syracuse, Maryland. Maryland favored by 2 points. I think they are on the right side of that one. Maryland is my pick. That might be a good game, but Maryland blew away Howard last week, and I think they'll be riding that momentum. Miami versus North Carolina. Miami favored by 4.5 points, losing to Florida in a close, sloppy game. But North Carolina, they're coming off. Who knows? But I'm gonna go with Miami. So we move on. Tennessee versus BYU. Tennessee 4 points under, but they got upset last week. BYU's famous for upset. Can we get another one? I say yes. Why not? Vanderbilt, Purdue. Purdue favored by 7 points. I think Purdue will bounce back and get the win. So all three of my super dogs are in my predictions, and so far I've gone against 2 of them. We're at Texas A&M versus Clemson. Clemson favored by 16.5 points. I don't think that upset will happen. You'll see just how wrong I am next week. Why those are my super dogs. I'm a rookie at this, so don't be taking my word for it. LSU and Texas, big one here. LSU favored by 6.5 points. That's the last one on our Saturday selections out of our 9 games. What am I gonna do? I think might as well. I think I got to pick LSU, Texas, both looking good. But I see Texas at home. I would take that Longhorn head right now. I see them winning over LSU. So to recap this episode, Ohio State's underrated, Michigan's overrated, Clemson's overrated, Wisconsin's overrated, UCF is underrated, Penn State is overrated, Michigan State's underrated, Utah is overrated, Auburn's underrated, Alabama's overrated, Army, Texas A&M, and Vandy are all possible super underdogs to pull off the upset this weekend, as well as I got Michigan, Minnesota, Colorado, Maryland, Miami, BYU, Purdue, Clemson, and Texas winning this weekend. Hope you guys enjoy this weekend of college football. I will be watching. I'll see you guys next week, and we will recap this. So maybe I'll be terribly wrong. We'll see where that goes. But until next week, let's just enjoy some good football and see how wrong I can be. See you guys next week.